When you're caught with something embarrassing, it is easiest on you in the long run to just own up to it. However, a lot of people will resort to denial. It depends on what the meaning of is. We have a lot of public figures who will.
Meaning what?
It depends on what the meaning of is. We have
the meaning of is.
A lot of public figures who will lie in public because shame or because you're trying to impress somebody. There's a lot of reasons people lie.
Yeah, Tommy was trying to impress all you suckers into giving him money, and it fucking worked.
So I found it very difficult to see someone being painted as in such a pathological nature as it was done.
But that sounds pretty factual to me.
With really no room for retort and very little actual research with the people who were in the know.
Well, Tommy's free to retort to anyone, except he's just run off to hide behind his dead dad, and he's not coming back anytime soon. Sorry, not his dead dad. Sorry, his $18 million. Ha 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 ha. Fucking hell. My dad died. What's happened there? My dad died, and after a week I was back in work, and it was beneficial to be back in work. Just because you sort of got support from people all around you. You don't fucking just hide away from the rest of the world. Then again, he hasn't. He went off on his silly musical tour around the world and just left you suckers to it. He's a fucking bullshitter.
Like,
did
he even with Roblox?
That was my question. Did he even talk to Joey?
A lot of the people that
they're all talking at once. Hang on.
Talking with Roblox.
Did he even talk to Joey? I've heard the name Joey Kuras, but I can't remember who that is offhand. I've had a lot of red wine.
That was my question. Did he even talk to Joey?
A lot of the people that were with Tommy Tallarico Studios are currently with Intellivision, or were currently with Intellivision before layoffs, or are particularly close to people over time. This is a very small industry. A lot of people talk to each other. A lot of people are still connected, and I think to lay out something like this and not do the proper research and the proper outreach to those people who are in the know. Scott Barrett was in the comments talking about his recollections of being on the scene when that sound was captured, and that was purportedly the rationale for this video. And H Bomber Guy's gone through and liked a lot of comments. This has had several hundred likes in response. Oh, thank you for elaborating exactly how this went down. And his memory is now like 25 years old, so this can be a little bit fuzzy. But he's giving, the most accurate portrayal of, or the most insider portrayal of how this happened that anyone has given, and that wasn't tagged on the video.
Yeah. Before we get to some of this more of this word salad, let's just see that comment. Jose Perez, in my opinion, I think Tommy should never have been CEO. He should have stuck to Chief Creative Officer role from the beginning. What fucking difference does it make with Intellivision when they're not putting out a single product anyway? Whether you're CEO or CCO, what difference does it make? He's just taking the money from you anyway. And in a way, it's better than he was the cosplay CEO because he just took all your money. Fucking better for them anyway.
Of how this happened that anyone has given, and that wasn't tagged on the video. That wasn't highlighted. There's no follow-up video. Oh, this is what we've learned since then to correct the record. It's just, here's my take on how pathological Tommy is. And now it is the onus on Tommy to turn around and say, actually, I meant this by this, or I meant this by this.
Well, if this H Bomber guy only puts out one video every 6 months, you're not going to get another video out of him about it. He's got all his hits from this one. And he'll move on. He doesn't give a shit what you think.
Is the onus on Intellivision to go through and verify, these things? It's kind of throwing out a lot of accusations without a lot of sound bites and stuff, I think, that were out of context. And now kind of that onus is, okay, now you follow up on it. And now you have to explain, this is actually what I meant by this. This is what we mean by the Guinness World Records. Guinness delivered these 7 records. They may not exist now in the system because maybe they have been superseded.
Oh, here we go. We're white knighting for the Guinness World Records, the things you can just buy anyway. Which I didn't know until recently, but yeah, you don't have to actually do very much for it. You just buy them. Apparently you can buy a TED Talk, so if anyone famous says, "Oh, I did a TED talk," it doesn't really mean anything because you can just buy a spot in there and just go and talk on the TED talk stage. I don't know how it works, but makes it sound like you got you've sort of gained something in life by you've gained something in life by having a Guinness World Record, or by appearing on the TED talk stage, where you haven't really. You've just paid money for it, like all this fake awards and his fake Pee Wee awards and shit. Oh, red wine, it's nice.
A record in 2002 is probably superseded by now in video games. So I mean, there's a lot of there's.
Oh yeah, so it's just every time a Guinness World Record is replaced, they just forget about the old ones, and you can't trace it anywhere on the internet ever. Says RAB, seemingly. Bullshit. You can fucking find that information if you want to. But again, you're just white-knighting for Tommy and just sucking him off.
There's a lot of things that I had problems with how it was presented and how
Go ahead, Chuck. Before we do any more,
go for it.
Well, the thing I know because I heard about the recaps of stuff that was talked about. So but I did not sit down and literally watch it because it's really the same. Let me put it this way: it's a 1 million+ sub channel that did a way more in-depth version of the same thing that's been going on for the past 2 years.
Well, that's a fair assessment of it, but again, it's still facts that you're willing to ignore.
It's digging out stuff, like you said. It's like, oh, well, he said he had 6 Guinness World Records. He only had 5. What an awful person.
Well, it's not that at all. It's the fact that he said he had all these world records and he didn't. He didn't have any. He made them all up. But hey, you'll give him a free pass on that.
Or, oh my goodness, he had a Hall of Fame ring that the Yankees gave him for playing on the
Yeah, he just made up. He just more shit he made up. But you'll give him a free pass.
I don't even think he brought that up. He's focused a lot on the Guinness World Records.
I'm just saying. Well, let me just finish.
Which Tommy legitimately has 3 straight up, and a couple of them are different records for different times that he broke the previous record.
Yeah, but I'm saying it was given to him. He can say whatever he wants, man. It's.
And he did. That's how he got $18.5 million out of you.
If people just throw all this stuff on because it's the fun thing to do, man.
No, because they're dropping facts on yo.
And I've known the guy for 2 years, and he's been nothing but sweet, always down to promote anybody.
Here's the Stockholm Syndrome kicking in. Of course of course he's been sweet on you. He's fucking, this is Mark Pollard in action. I've talked about him a lot. I always forget to put the link in the description. If I do, look up Mark Pollard Thistle Comedy, and you'll see the Hope Inn in Stockport, and you go to my DVD Fever website, and you'll see all about it. So, Mark Pollard Thistle Comedy. Thistle is in the Scottish thistle, and he was a scammer, and he just played all nice just to fucking get the money, and that's what scammers do. They're groomers, and they're fucking scammers. And I fucking hope the law comes and fucks them all hard up the arse. Because they fucking deserve it.
I mean, look at when I first met him, I was like at 100-some subs, and he was like, "Hey, man, let's see if we can, blah blah blah." He was.
I think I was at 100. I think I was at 125, and he was.
Yeah,
more than happy
the guy was always. He's always trying to help people, man.
No, he's trying to get money out of you. He's making it sound to you like he wants to, he wants to help you. But my whole situation with Mark Pollard was just over a year. And fucking hell, I knew shit was going wrong and I just couldn't find a way out. This has been going on for 4 fucking years. And you are still sucked into the whole thing. And you're still believing it even after he's long fucking gone. And you're still singing his praises. Absolutely cooked to the max, as Darius would say. And it's sad. You need to fucking snap out. You need someone just to come along and it's like you've been hypnotized and you're still under the spell. And someone needs to come along and just, excuse me, someone needs to come along and just say 1, 2, 3, you're back in the room. And then you're back in the room and you're out of all that nuts shit. Just fucking See the wood for the trees, man.
And
Well, the
he's
fact
never,
that
I've
he
never
talks to
seen
small
anything nefarious.
YouTubers is an insult strategy. That is like it's a waste of time, and it is like it's pathetic
Yeah.
that he does. It's a micro influencer strategy. It's an actual strategy in marketing that people pursue, but
No, it's called scamming.
it's used like why is he talking to these losers because they're the only ones that'll listen to him and
Because he got $18.5 million out of it.
do things. It's
Well,
you know,
it's
kind of
because he's generally a
means to an insult.
gamer.
Well,
He
I'll
literally
tell
is
you guys
generally
flat out. My interest in this console does not focus around Tommy. It does not begin and end with Tommy.
Likewise,
It mostly
This has nothing to do with the console.
starts.
Let me
It mostly
finish.
starts with these guys right
Let
here.
me just finish, please, because I got to get this.
I'm
off.
sorry. Go.
And I'll let
Please
you guys talk. I have to do this.
Sorry, Nick, you carry on eating. That's okay.
So
I've said a lot.
the thing, first of all, it has nothing to do with friggin' Intellivision. I mean, Phil's
Well, who's getting mad now?
the CEO of Intellivision right now. Me and Mike are doing some testing. Like literally, I know the console exists. I know it's coming out. It's
The console exists and it's coming out. No, it fucking isn't.
not a scam.
Have that again.
Doing some testing. Like literally, I know the console exists. I know it's coming out. It's not a scam. This was Tommy's dream to bring this to fruition from when Keith Robinson wanted to do a new Intellivision.
It's not Tommy's dream at all. His dream was to get $18.5 million out of you suckers. And he managed it, and then he fucked off. It's not his dream to bring out any console at all. Fucking wake up, shithead.
That's this whole thing would never have happened without Tommy. But
Tommy Tallarico is just a fucking cancer on the world. A cancer that needs to be cut out. And he's cut himself out, and he's fucked off with your money. This is fucking sad.
that's right now. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the constant just attack and smearing of Tommy because it's the fun thing to do right now in this retro YouTube community. This guy, all he did was do a more in-depth professional, like I said, he's a 1 million+ subs channel that's getting more attention on it because he's like, man, I can make some money and some clicks off this. And I guarantee you he made a lot off of that.
Well, and so do you. That's why you talk about the Amico all the time, because that's the only time you get anyone watching your channel. On this video, you got about 750 hits by the time I came to it. Whereas you make a video about an old Intellivision game, you're lucky if you get 100 hits.
But the one thing is most of this stuff you could just look up the serious facts. Like, and I'll just put up another example. Is there's this thing going around. Look at all these celebrities where they Photoshop Tommy Tallarico shirts on them. What a loser! Blah blah blah. Dude, you know that was a running joke between Electric Playground and Tommy, and they did that on the website like years ago.
We never had Electric Playground in the UK, so yeah, I mean, I've seen clips, but I'm largely oblivious to that.
The joke was that they photoshopped shirts.
Didn't they show
on
that
celebrities.
on Electric Playground? I haven't watched Electric Playground.
Yeah,
I've just heard
probably.
stories.
But I'm saying you're rehashing stuff and making it like it's this big deal. Same with like the awards or the Hall of Fame stuff. Do we really care that much? Like,
yes,
he said this was a bottle cap, not a bottle opener. Like, it's really getting so nitpicky.
Stockholm Syndrome.
And I don't really see most of these facts holding up. Do I know everything? I don't. But
He doesn't see facts holding up. There's a line on... if you look up This Morning with Richard, Not Judy, because at the time, this is the late 80s, there was... now it's just This Morning. It's presented by Philip Schofield, who... he would have explained it to his wife beforehand, but he suddenly came out, despite being married to a woman for 30 years, he decided to come out as gay live on TV, just for clicks in a way, just for the ratings, and the way he was scamming his audience was sickening to watch. You know, the way he scammed his fucking wife and kids was fucking sickening for them. Don't lie to your nearest and dearest for fucking years. But anyway, him and Holly Willoughby, she's got massive tits if you're into that sort of thing. Well, if you're a man. But in the 80s it was presented by Richard Madeley and Judy Finnegan, husband and wife team. I think she's sort of largely retired now, but Richard Madeley still occasionally presents on GMB, aka Good Morning Britain, on ITV on a weekday morning, and it's but in the late 80s there was This Morning. It was This Morning with Richard and Judy, and then in the late 80s we had This Morning with Richard, not Judy. So you had Richard Herring and Stuart Lee. So Richard, but not Judy. And Stuart Lee and Richard Herring are absolutely fucking genius comedians. And it ran for 2 series, and it was absolutely genius stuff. It's all on YouTube. So yeah, This Morning with Richard, not Judy. But just Richard Herring said one thing in an episode, and Stuart Lee retorted, "Well, you can prove anything with facts." And this is it. And DJC seems to think that facts don't matter. But he's right. You can prove anything with facts. Let's just hear him again.
Not a bottle opener. Like, it's really getting so nitpicky, and I don't really see.
And anyway, $18.5 million. That'd be fucking nitpicky.
Most of these facts holding up.
Facts.
Do I know everything?
Every fact holds up because it's a fact.
Don't. But from meeting the guy, he's genuine. He's nice. And
he's nice because he was sucking you off under the table.
Yeah, I still keep in touch with them for people that think I.
No, you don't. You haven't spoken to him in fucking years.
He's genuine. He's nice. And yeah, I still keep in touch with them for people that think I don't.
You don't at all.
But that's all I have to say on a personal level on that. As far as Intellivision, this console, this has nothing to do with that. So I'd like to get back to talking games and some Thanksgiving stuff. But
yeah, because you just want to bury all this shit under the table because you've been cucked to the max.
Continued what you were going to say.
Absolutely. I won't go any further into it. I didn't want to go kind of line item by line item with all of this stuff.
No, I'm not going over every
line
item. I'm not doing that. This isn't that's not what this podcast is for, okay?
Yeah.
Realistically, at the end of the day, this podcast is to hang out with you guys, the chat, and to talk games. That's really all it's about. Whether it's the Amico, whether it's Sega, whether it's TurboGrafx, whether it's modern, whether it's retro, whatever. Whatever we're interested in at the time, that's what we want to bring to you guys. The main reason I'm still here, like I said when Chuck was here, is these two guys right here.
Justice for Tommy, says Justy Views.
If the console comes out, great. I have a console. I don't expect anything. I don't get paid anything. I don't care one way or another. If it comes out, I have a product. If not, I took a risk on a startup company, and I feel like that's what I wanted to do. I still stand by that. I still want the product. Anything that goes around Tommy or any of this other stuff that goes on, if they can bring out the console, that's all I want them to do. I want them to focus on bringing out the console. So I'm hoping they're ignoring this and all this other drama and just currently working on bringing out a console. Because at the end of the day, that's everybody's biggest complaint. I haven't got my refund and there's no console. Well, we bring out the console and we get you your refund.
What's up, Zeno?
What's next?
Yeah.
Hopefully, we all just either walk away like we did with the VCS.
There will be cliff
and
notes,
let people play it that want to have fun with it.
Go, look who needs a fucking haircut. It's Mike Ballist.
I don't think you guys gave the VCS this much hell, quite frankly.
I was amazed that came out, and I know they had Black Friday sales recently, but I didn't. They didn't have any of that in the UK. I would have snapped that up at $100, I tell you. But yeah, if you're to import it from the US, whatever it costs you, it's going to cost even more when they add duty and shipping on top of it, and taxes.
And it seems like the retro community has become a community that anytime anything new that comes out that's not a flashback, that uses an old IP that somehow you think you own to do something new, you get your hackles up.
Only do 4.
And that's bullshit because you don't own
bullshit.
It.
Right.
Like it or not, Tommy owns Intellivision.
No, that's
he's getting mad now.
You don't own it.
Right.
Like it or not, Tommy owns Intellivision.
No, that's not true. Tommy owns a share of it. So
he sounds like a fucking religious nutter. Just go, oh, hail and brimstone and hell is coming down. It's going to rain down on you because it's going to wipe everyone out and only the blessed will survive. And go and give your money to Billy Graham in his church before all these priests, evangelists go and touch up children in the name of God and Jesus. And anyone who's into fucking religion, they're fucking bullshit. It's a fucking bullshit enterprise. That's a scam as well. Even something as little as passing the collection plate round the church, just a fucking scam. And all the rest they get away with. Get rid of religion.
So does Stephen Roney. So does why is the name's escaping me?
King Crab. Hello, Mike Mollusk. Mike Molist. No, I won't say it.
Shiny Entertainment.
Dave Perry.
Oh,
Dave
Perry.
Perry. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's a number of owners on among the principals.
But I
for
get-
the
The
company.
point
get
is
what-
they
I
own
get
it. They
what
can do
Nick-
what they want to with
Right.
it.
I get what Nick's I get what Nick's trying to say.
But I
What's
also
up?
get
Happy-
the audience's
happy
point as
Thanksgiving,
well.
boys.
You know, you do feel sentiment attachment to it. You do feel like you have a personal emotional investment in something like the Intellivision brand.
Mike Dulles. Nice one, man machine.
And you have a personal emotional attachment in something like Atari. And it hurts to see someone do something with the brand that you are attached to that
It hurts. It hurts. It shouldn't hurt, but it does hurt. It hurts like the first time she felt it. Pain. Pain. That's pain. Like the first time she felt pain. Thus, like a virgin.
Atari. And it hurts to see someone do something with the brand that you are attached to that you disagree with. You know, that you can't just dismiss outright either. I mean, that's a valid response as well. I just think, you know, that there is a lot that I know that we know, having had conversations with the company, that they are trying to do and trying to get out and still on top. And if people think, okay, they did something that was wrong, there are avenues that you can go to address things that are legitimately wrong. If you think that something is being done that is illegal, like if they didn't report something like they should have reported with the SEC, I think still talking about Jay Allard months after he left was misleading. And it was something they needed to address, and they decided not to. And the SEC came in to clarify, to make sure that that statement and any sort of misleading comments were taken care of. That is why you have organizations like that and institutions in place like that. I'm a fan of going through the appropriate channels for these things. If people feel that they are being wronged by Intellivision,
Well, what appropriate channel would you go through? You know, the appropriate channel is technically to go to email them and request a refund, but they're not giving any refunds to anybody. What other channel are you going to go to? Take them to court? How are you going to get your money back? It's never going to work, and they'll just shut up shop anyway. There's no official channel.
voice that you are feeling wrong. I support you voicing that. I don't necessarily support a pile-on where someone cannot go and defend themselves. I think there's a point to be made. There's a point to be saying, if you think this is scam adjacent, which I think he labeled this as, then
I think he straight up called it a
contact that
scam,
institution.
but-
Yeah, I think he said it's scam
Yeah,
adjacent for Amico. Then there is
Scam adjacent. Scam then.
institutions in California, institutions in Delaware that you could reach out to say, have you looked into this company, what they're doing? Is someone
be a real
on this?
thing.
Because I feel uncomfortable. I have an investment. I have, a pre-order, and I've heard nothing. But on the flip side of that, yes, we have pre-orders that we have, and we do not have our pre-orders. And this is now going on 2 years since placing those pre-orders, going on 3 years.
I'm in the same boat. I've got a pre-order for
January.
2 consoles. I bought
Got two.
two
Yeah.
sets of the physical media, one of which I gave to a friend. So I mean, that's the amount of money I put into it. I mean,
Mhm.
it was
but
my
I
money.
sort-
It was my money to spend.
Yeah.
And
But-
I spent it. And
Yeah,
I told
exactly.
every single one of you that's gone to my channel, do your research, do your homework, invest if you think it's going to come out and you think it's going to be something you want. Otherwise, don't do it. Now,
I
if
got
you listen to that and you still want to come at me, I never told you to invest in Republico. I never told you to invest in Start Engine. I never told you to pre-order a console if you didn't think it was going to make it. I don't think so, son.
It was more like us
Uh-uh.
talking about how much what we were doing, and how much we liked it. But it wasn't like we held people to the fire and told anyone to do anything.
I never once told anybody to pre-order. Not once. I've never once told anybody to.
Yeah, I do not want to be a review channel, so I will not be making any recommendations. I'm not.
DJC wants to speak, and they're not letting him. What a shame.
Telling anyone to go out and pre-order. I didn't tell anyone to go out and buy anything. You know, there's a chasm, I think, from how some of us see what we're doing talking about the console versus being a stand-in for the company, as some of you seem to project. And not a lot of people in the audience do, but there are some that come in and I think take that tack.
Well,
so
if you notice, neither Chuck or I have put any real content on our channels. We are content creators. You would think that if that's all we were doing, you know, with the... Sorry, guys, I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with my camera tonight. I'm trying to figure, you know, if you would think that would be what we would be doing.
No, beloved, I'm saying I'm not an employee of Intellivision.
Right. We're not
getting payment from
none of us
Intellivision.
are.
I don't stand to speak for Intellivision.
We do it because we believe in it. We do it because we believe in it, and we're volunteering our time to
And for the
to
record, not one of us is trying to distance ourselves from Amico, and I saw that pop in the chat. That's not happening here.
No.
Let me address this really quick because there's a million things going on in chat right now. PJ Smith, 1999, thank you so much. Also a Silly Club member. Thank you, PJ, and hope you have a great Thanksgiving. And I am drinking a Blue Moon now, so cheers. He said, if you could select the 6-pack in game yourself.
Okay, so this is the point where they've stopped talking about the Amico for now. And so I'll skip forward to another bit in the video because RAB has got something else to say. Okay, so we're getting into the sort of final section of this, and I could have also gone through every last little detail of Sweet and Tender Hooligans video, and the only reason I won't is because as I'm recording this, I'm in two minds whether to make this 2 videos or 1. As I'm starting to film this last bit, it's 20 to 2 in the morning, and I want to get at least something up for 9 o'clock in the morning, which means I certainly won't be around for the premiere because I'll be away in the land of Nod. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it might end up as 2 videos, but there's not enough hours in the day to do everything you want to do.
Oh, yes, I would. Oh, yes, I would.
Well, you guys can banter me after. I'm just going to say thank you, chat, for coming in and spending some time with us. I know Chuck is going to say, you know, you can believe us. I believe anyone you want to. I think, you know, the company definitely owes this fan base some answers and some things.
They owe them a console.
Some questions. They owe them a console.
They owe them a console.
They owe them a console.
And from my talking with them, they have a board they have to go through. They have investors. They have steps that they have to take to get on certain things before they can give actual information. They don't want to be in the situation of putting out information that they can't 100% stand behind.
You mean they're not going to bullshit people, despite the fact they've been bullshitting people for 4 or 5 years?
And be screwed. Because
I totally
something doesn't come to fruition. Yeah. So they are a little bit in a hard place, which doesn't really forgive them from... doesn't get them off the hook from not talking to us at all. I think they do need to come out and talk to us about some of that stuff, and I know they want to. So hopefully we will be hearing soon on some of those things that you guys really are looking forward to.
I mean, look, yeah. I would rather have no information than bad information at this point.
Yeah. So you'll just happily let them off? You'll let them off. Okay.
Yes, and
that's my preference.
That is my preference too. It's still frustrating.
Right, and the only other thing is that it's the speculation, right? And to look in television,
speculation, suffering succotash.
Television can always put out information to speculation, but you know. When people are speculating, it doesn't help when you don't know, and
you don't. What was that?
Help when you don't know.
No.
And I mean, it's hard. I get it. It's hard because you want, I could tell you from my conversations with there's nobody wants to put this out more than Intellivision. I mean, they've worked on this thing for 3 years now. What,
4
they
years of
definitely
development.
want the console out.
Well, they've been working on it supposedly for 4 years at the very least. Actually, closer to 5 because they'd have had to be working on it for at least a year before even making that initial announcement at Portland Retro Gaming Expo. And Geeks with Cash thinks they still want to get a console out. What is leading you to think they want to get a console out? Where's your proof of that? The fact they've given the prototype units out to those two on the left? No, they just want to put something out just to distract you all with shiny things.
Nobody wants this out more than they. I would venture a guess that nobody wants to put this thing out more than John Alvarado right now.
They don't give a fuck.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
everyone, but and no, they can't go more years. I agree with that. No, they cannot go any more years. This is it, man. This is it, sweet.
It looks ugly at this point, and I think a lot of people might come up and say okay, this is a scam. Look at it, everything is about as a scam. And my retort to that would be, what would a company look like that has struggled to? Obviously, what they're trying to do is super ambitious, and I think it's more ambitious than some of these other smaller consoles that have come out. It's not more ambitious than Xbox, it's not more ambitious than Nintendo or Sony, but I think it is more ambitious, the scope of what they're trying to do, than maybe Evercade or VCS, Atari was trying to do, or Polymega was trying to do with developing and the games and the interface and trying to get all these things to kind of come together in the environment that the last couple of years have been.
Polymega, is that still going? I know there was a machine that they meant to. I remember hearing about it at least a year ago, and it seemed to disappear. I think it was supposed to be an FPGA unit, so basically they put everything in there as if it's like the original hardware, and then they realised that was too difficult, and so they just turned it into an emulation unit anyway. I think the idea was you could put your original games in it, and then it would, for any old console, and it would figure it out and rip them, or maybe it wouldn't actually rip them to the machine, but it would recognise you'd put in a particular game, like Earthworm Jim maybe, and then it would get the ROM from somewhere and just play that through the console. So it wasn't taking it from your disc. It was just noticing that you had Earthworm Jim in there, and then it would just find Earthworm Jim and then play that for you. That was based. So you had the base unit, and then that was based on whatever unit per old console that you bought for it. But is that really still a thing? You don't seem to hear about that anymore.
So they took some hits, and they've taken some hits for some other things, and obviously the public relations as of right now are in the dumps. To
Right.
put it
That's putting
on
it kindly.
a high.
Yes.
Put it kindly,
Yeah.
yes. Trying to remember what my point of going through this was.
Sorry, go ahead, man. I didn't mean to.
No,
derail.
it's okay.
Oh, poor lamb.
It's okay. I was. They are trying, and I think if you were to give them a good faith look, and you don't have to give them a good faith look, but if you were to give them, or if you were to put yourself in a good faith position of trying to see something of this scope come through and the difficulties that they claim to have, I think then some of this makes a little sense. If you are looking at this from the point of they are just trying to scam and it is for the money, then you can look at it from a completely different perspective, and it looks like a very different story. So there's a chasm, I think, from what some of us are seeing and what other people are seeing.
I think if this was a scam or a dodge, we would have been done by now, because they're not generating any. They're not actively trying to generate any revenue. You don't have any Republic.
I would think those institutions would be involved that I had brought up earlier.
You don't have any kind of way of giving them money right now, except for like the limited physical editions that they have that already gives you the product. So at that point, you have
Hold on. Say it again.
any kind of way of giving them money right now, except for like the limited physical editions that they have that already gives you the product.
The physical editions didn't give you the product. They gave you the promise of a product. Nothing more, because the games weren't even finished. And even if they were, tapping that box on the console will give you nothing. I think all that was on the cards was the URL to the website. Certainly wasn't any way to download the game onto your console. So you sold a pup on that. But then the games weren't finished anyway, so the whole it's a moot point. Like the way Sweet Nintendo Hooligan says, John Alvarado, you have until December 31st, 2023.
So at that point, you don't have a console to play on it, but that transaction's done, right? But even the pre-orders,
Right.
That's not John Avocado at all.
you don't have a console to play on it, but that transaction's done, right? But even the pre-orders,
Right.
they're not taking any money on right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not pulling in any more revenue. So how long do you run a scam where you're not generating revenue?
Right.
Because they're trying to get more revenue from you.
Generally, you would just cut and run.
Right.
At that point, you would take whatever money you had and you
wouldn't
get the
make a
hell
working
out.
product
You
either.
wouldn't continue to try to operate it under some let's not generate money right now avenue from
Right.
people. That doesn't really make a lot of logical sense to me. I get
Well-
if you don't believe in it, I get that you don't believe it's going to come out. I understand that, and I
Yep.
totally see that. There are days where I go, I don't know if I'm going to ever get this damn console or not. I'm totally with you there. That's fine. My difference is I don't make videos on it. I just go, okay, I may not get this. I may lose this money. That's okay.
Right.
I'm okay with that. From my standpoint, I can accept that.
The thing about a scam is somebody has to be a benefactor of it, and there's nobody there that's benefiting from this. I mean, nobody's sitting on a nobody's
not at
sitting
Well, they've benefited from $18.5 million.
on a right. And let's
No one-
and you know, there's been all this speculation about Tommy having to sell all of his stuff and all this. And if all of that is true, how is he benefiting
not
from
sitting on
this?
any
So
money.
Well, you sell stuff, and then you benefit from the money that rolls in. It's kind of how it works.
It's crazy.
there's a difference. There's always a difference between a failed venture and an outright scam. And I lean on, you know, one of the reasons that I stuck this long is because I've seen other failed ventures. Some of them make it, some of them don't. And trust me, the Gizmondo was not a scam. It was just a failed venture. The Infinium Labs Phantom console, I covered that. I mean, you could go onto the Internet Archive, the archive.org. You can see where I have pictures. I've actually got pictures of the thing I took at E3. Was supposed to revolutionize. It was going to be, honestly, the first streaming style PC. Didn't make it. Nobody was scamming anybody. It just didn't make it.
I think that's the confusion the internet has. Like, there's a couple of terms that get thrown around that I think people are confused on. One is simp. Simp gets thrown around a lot. That gets
I'm too
misused
old.
a ton.
I am too old for these terms. I can't keep up
The
with all
simp
this
is
shit.
somebody that basically
Yeah.
always
No,
backs somebody
I
regardless of
know.
what it
I
is.
know what it is.
And always puts them in the most positive light. I don't always put Intellivision in a
Thanksgiving,
positive
Rob.
light. There's a lot of
You are
times I'm
rad.
pissed. I'm
Yes.
pissed. Openly pissed at
Very rad.
Intellivision. You guys don't see it because I don't bring it here.
Well, you should do. Why don't you? If you're pissed at them, bring it. Bring it. Absolutely bring it. What are you doing here if you're not bringing it?
Because I try not to bring negativity.
Oh, only Amico positivity is allowed.
Yeah.
But these guys all know I have literally raged for like almost an hour at times.
Well, Dylan Thomas did said, rage, rage, rage against the dying of the Amico. Do not go gently into that good Intellivision. Rage, rage, rage against the dying of the Tallarico.
About how they've disseminated
Every other phone
information
call.
in the past.
Every other phone call with Nick, he's yelling at me. I'm like, it's not me. I'm not
It's
I wasn't
disseminating
even-
this information.
so
I wasn't even here.
All his fault. If
I
it's not his
wasn't
fault,
even
it's
here.
Mike's. If it's not his fault, it's Mike's fault.
I wasn't even here.
But anyways, we do need to end it because we are going at almost 2 hours. But Nick, you want
geez.
anything you want to plug for
I'm
your?
sorry.
I know you got some stuff here.
Yeah, so that's basically the end of all that. At last. Yeah, it's just been more shenanigans. Just endless bullshit from this trio with guest co-presenter Mike Mellist. Anyway, I'm going to try and edit this and get to bed. So this may end up as 2 videos, and although by the time you get to this point in the video, this will be the end of part 2 if it's 2 videos, so you'll know already. And in fact, even whatever happens, I'll put, if it ends up as 2 videos, then I will make I'll put that in the description. Anyways, time to call time. In the meantime, please like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't already, click on the bell for all notifications, and cue Genesis. And if you quote anything that's in the videos in this thing, I can never remember exactly what came where, so please put a timestamp in your comment so I know to check it there. And I'm way behind on checking comments, but I will check them all. It's just been a very bizarre couple of weeks. Anyway, have a good weekend, and if this part 2 ends up being on Monday, because there's no point putting it out on Sunday, because no one really pays attention on a Sunday. But anyway, whatever happens, enjoy. Comment below, like, subscribe, all that, and cue Genesis.